The Justice Department says it expects to release special counsel Robert Mueller's redacted report on Russian meddling in the 2016 election and potential obstruction of justice by President Trump on Thursday morning. That's just before the start of the Easter holiday weekend. An official who has spoken to a member of Mueller's team has told NBC News the report describes compelling evidence on obstruction with much more information than Attorney General William Barr released. The official said that some within the special counsel's office report their purpose was to leave the legal question open for Congress and the public to examine the evidence. It's not clear how Mueller himself feels about the matter. And new reporting this morning from NBC on how current and former White House officials are worried that the public version of the Mueller report will expose them as the sources of damaging information about President Donald Trump. People familiar with the discussion say some of the officials and their lawyers have sought clarity from the Justice Department on whether the names of those who cooperated with Mueller's team will be redacted or if the report, the public report, will be written in a way that makes it obvious who shared certain details of Trump's actions in the obstruction probe. But the Justice Department has refused to elaborate. Joining us now with more detail, national political reporter for NBC News, Carol Lee. Carol, good morning. So we get to the heart of the reason many people don't want to see the Mueller report out because their names are going to be all over it.
Yeah.
Who are we talking about here inside the White House?
Well, I think there's some that are still in the White House, and then there's a lot of former officials. The president has two former chiefs of staff. You have former White House counsel Don McGahn spent countless hours with Mueller's team and a number of other officials. And from their perspective, people we talk to, it's like, look, we were told by the president and his legal team, hey, cooperate with this investigation. And the only thing to do in that scenario is to go in and tell the truth. Otherwise, you risk perjury charges. And so now the report's going to come out, and they're all like, is my name going to be in there? Is it going to say that I told them about this incident where the president said this thing that he's going to be angry about? Or, as someone described it, is it going to be like a Bob Woodward book kind of thing where you can kind of figure out exactly who said what and what the different sources are? And then that basically they're all just worried about the president's wrath, that he and his allies are going to come down on them and, publicly, whether it's through Twitter or on Fox News, criticize them. And so there's a lot of anxiety about what's going to be in the report.
Do you sense that there are specific claims that some of them have made that might implicate the president in obstruction, and then that's why they're worried that that would not be redacted?
Yes, and a couple of people we talked to said it wasn't so much. It's not that we're going to learn like things that we can't imagine the president would have said or done. It's just more of the kinds of things that we already know that will be new and that will be able to be ascribed to certain people. Because in certain situations, it could be it's just the president and one other person, and then it's completely obvious who then went and told.
Yeah, and David Ignatius, when we get the report on Thursday, what can you tell us? What are your thoughts on what we're going to see? Is this going to be just the first in a number of steps towards the slow, painful reveal of the Mueller report? Will it be heavily redacted? Will it? What are you hearing? What are your thoughts?
From what we know, it will be significantly redacted, and then there'll be a battle over getting an unredacted version that could be read in private, in theory, by members of Congress. There'll be a fight over whether the investigative materials that contributed to the report can be made public. I think, based on what we know and sense is coming, we'll get a lot more evidence about the question of obstruction. We know from Attorney General Barr's summary that Mueller couldn't dismiss the evidence of obstruction, didn't resolve it by saying that he found obstruction, but clearly there's a lot of evidence there, and some of the people that Carol mentioned, Don McGahn, the White House counselor, talked repeatedly with the president about some of the things he was wanting to do, is said to have talked him out of some things he proposed. He'll be a key part of this. Other top White House officials. I have my own list of questions I hope will be answered about obstruction and also about collusion and the collusion evidence. We'll see at the end of the week how many of those really have answers. I think on the collusion front, we still want to understand what was the nature of some of these contacts between Trump campaign officials and Russians. If Mueller decided that it didn't constitute collusion, how did he go through that process of decision? Hopefully we'll have better evidence when the report is out.
Well, and Carol, when that report does come out, obviously it'll be redacted publicly, but are you hearing from Democrats who really feel they have the upper hand legally to get the entire report sent to them, especially unredacted, especially since it was the Republicans who exposed all the 302s in Hillary Clinton's investigation and actually made those 302s public, which of course carry the same weight as grand jury testimony?
Yeah, it's a great point, Joe, because what the Democrats have said that they will do is essentially use that playbook that Republicans have kind of set out the roadmap in the first 2 years of the Trump administration for how they wanted to get additional information, and by going in and requesting information about, how certain things were done, emails, how decisions were made from the Justice Department. So there's a little bit of precedent there. So it seems like Thursday is when the report's expected to come out, is kind of the beginning of a process that's still going to drag on for some time.
NBC's Carol Lee, thank you very much. And coming up, President Trump gets a 2020 Republican challenger. Former Governor William Weld joins the conversation to discuss his decision to take on Trump for the party's nomination and his strategy for success in that bid. We'll be right back.
Thanks for checking out MSNBC on YouTube, and make sure you subscribe to stay up to date on the day's biggest stories. And you can click on any of the videos around us to watch more from Morning Joe and MSNBC. Thanks so much for watching.